Hi folks, welcome to Set Apart Homestead. We're back in the kitchen today, obviously, to talk about another great winter tonic that you should all be making and you should all be using. I made a video, well the last video was on fire cider, which is another really good and really easy tonic to make. I'll try to get it posted, is it up here or up here? One of these two places where there'll be a little link that you can click on and go watch that video also. Extremely easy and cheap to make, but will, give you a boost and help take care of some of those winter bugs that you get. And this is the same way. The fire cider is more of just a daily routine that you would take to kind of help prevent things. This today is elderberry syrup. Elderberry syrup can be used as a preventative, nothing wrong with that, but it's also really good if you actually get cold, flu, strep throat, anything like that. It can really boost your immune system to fight that off and get better a lot faster. It's also really good with kids because it doesn't taste like medicine. It's really good. In fact, you can actually use this on your biscuits or your pancakes as a syrup. It's so good. So I'm going to show you how to make it. For those of you that have never used or tried elderberry syrup, especially for a medicinal tonic type purpose, they're not cheap to buy in the store. A little bottle like this can run $10+. So for what you would pay for a couple of small bottles, you can buy enough ingredients to make this stuff to last your whole family pretty much all winter long. And it's super easy to make, kind of like the fire cider. You can't really get it wrong. I mean, it's a little bit more particular about the recipes, but it's only to get the consistency right. You're not really going to mess it up. And again, it's super easy to make. So we're going to get into that today and make it. I will also leave the actual ingredients in the description. I know sometimes it's hard to follow along as you're watching it. And this is just my recipe. There are many other recipes out there that kind of add, take away, slight variations, and that's fine. And this is a small one. This will make like a quart or a little bit less than a quart. You can obviously increase that amount if you want. Anyway, so we're going to get into it. The ingredients that I have: water, elderberries. These are dried. If you have access to fresh ones, that is awesome, especially if they're wild, growing wild on your property or something, or maybe you harvest them and you dry them yourself. You can also buy them frozen, like a fresh frozen a lot of times, and then these are just dried. If you use fresh or fresh frozen ones, you're probably going to need to about double the amount that you use, just because when you dry them they kind of shrink up and take up less space. So we have elderberries, water, we have honey. That's going to be the syrup part of it to make it syrupy. I'm putting an orange in, the zest of an orange and slices of the orange both. Some ginger root, cinnamon sticks, or you can just use, the ground cinnamon, and well, that's it. Yeah, that's it. It's simple, see? So to start off with, I've got 3.5 cups of water. This is filtered water. If you can get filtered or use some type of better water than just like a municipal tap water, I would encourage that because, well, just because, it's obvious. Then you're going to put your elderberries. I have 1 cup of dried elderberry. You would use anywhere between 1.5 cups to 1.75 cups of fresh. But it's not real picky on that. The zest of the orange, I'm going to put that in, and then throw these orange slices in there. And then, I don't know, 1 to 2 of these cinnamon sticks. You can put some cloves in if you like. I just didn't feel like cloves today. If you do ground cinnamon, You're probably going to look at about a teaspoon or so of ground cinnamon. The ginger, I did not. I should have had this, you know, trying to be all professional. I should have gotten this already chopped up or ground up, but I didn't, because guess what? I'm not a professional chef. I'm a hillbilly. So, you know, I'm a hillbilly in a kitchen, so you can imagine the kind of messes that I can create. Now, I know a lot of you guys out there are thinking, what's this have to do with prepping and survival and guns and equipment and all that kind of stuff? I put roughly a tablespoon of ginger. I like ginger, so if you're not big on ginger flavor, you can cut back on that. If you like more, you can. This may not appear to be the typical prepper, you know, survival type video, but I'm telling you guys and gals that your personal health and wellness is going to be one of the most important things when you're preparing, when you're in survival mode, you know, regardless of what's going on, and then just your day-to-day life, you know, going to work, going to school, taking care of the home, the farm, the kids. You know, we have to take care of our personal health, and if you look at, without going down the rabbit trail of this, but most of the medical problems that we face as a society today are really due to the fact that we don't eat properly. We don't take care of ourselves. We eat too much processed junk chemicals. We eat, you know, food products, but not food. And so, which is why I'm big on growing your own food and, you know, getting food from the source. That's what this is. This is a, you know, herbal and foods that are all really good for you. Elderberries are amazing antioxidant. They are, it's kind of like a nature's natural penicillin. It's one of them. And they can boost your immunity immensely. And so you can be out there and be prepared in every way and have your food stored up and your, you know, protection and guns and equipment and house and everything you can imagine. But if you're not taking care of your body, well, you're going to get sick and in a really bad situation where you can't go to the doctor, you can't run to Walgreens or, you know, CVS or whatever the nearest pharmacy and get what you need. You know, you could die pretty quickly. So learning how to do this kind of stuff, and I know not all of these things can be grown, but you can alter this recipe and make it from things that you grow on your property, and or make this stuff and can it up and have it for a while. All right, so I put all the ingredients except the honey. You're gonna hold off on the honey till later on. What you're gonna do is put this on the stove, bring it to a boil, and then kick it down to just a simmer. So you wanna bring it up to a boil, cover it, and then simmer it for 45 minutes to an hour. But hopefully you're gonna cut the liquid down to almost half. And so I'm gonna put this on the stove and we'll get it going. All right, as you can see, it's starting to boil. As soon as it gets a good rolling boil, I will cover it and kick it down. I forgot to mention that I added some holy basil, some fresh that I grow. So it has some holy basil in it and some thyme. You don't have to add that. That's just a personal preference. But it is okay to add things like that, you know, as you like. So now that you can see that it's boiling real good, we're going to cover it and kick it down to low. It's going to set like that for 45 minutes to an hour, and when it's done, we'll come back and show you how to finish this up. All right, we are back. As you can see, it has boiled and cooked down, and it's cooled off a little bit. I mean, it's still warm, pretty warm. Once it's done, let it cool a little bit, and then take something to kind of mash it up a little bit, you know, a potato masher or even just a wooden spoon or something like that. Kind of break up what's in there. That's a good thing, you know. Now that everything's been cooked, it's nice and soft. So you have, you know, your cooked elderberry little concoction. So I'm going to put it in and start off with a jar. I've got a funnel here. You know, you can actually use a strainer if you want. I'm using a funnel because I want to. So I'm
gonna put this in here and let it drain down through, and it takes a little bit. You wanna eventually get it to where you're smashing all the juice. You wanna get every little bit of juice out of it, so it's gonna take a little while. I'm using this double thickness paper towel to try to make sure you get any little bit of fibers or anything from the berries out of it. And you know, just kind of smash it down in there and kind of work it. It'll eventually work its way through. And once this is done, we're gonna add the honey to it, and then you'll have the syrup. All right, now our syrup, well, it's not the syrup yet, but our elderberry has been completely strained, and we have the honey. So we're gonna basically pour that in. Try not to make too terribly big of a mess, but hey, I'm a guy in the kitchen, and that's kind of normal, isn't it? For guys to make messes in the kitchen. Oh, see, look, I'm making a mess. It's kind of hard to do this and kind of keep a watch on the video to make sure I'm getting it right. So it's a little messy. It's still warm enough, and you want it to be warm enough to mix so that the honey, you know, dissolves and mixes thoroughly through. And then when it cools, it'll kind of thicken up a little bit because it's still pretty warm right now. Mix it up like this, and I have, you know, a bottle like this, but you don't have to use a bottle like this. You can totally keep it in a mason jar, and it'll work fine. And usually something like this will keep in the refrigerator for, you know, 3-4 months, so, you know, an entire winter. This batch obviously makes almost a quart, so 2 quarts of this would last quite a while, would probably do your whole family. And you're looking at a half to full teaspoon for a child and a half to full tablespoon for an adult. 2 to 3 hours between doses, you know, so every 2 to 3 hours. If you're sick, you know, if you've got the cold, flu, something like that, every 2 to 3 hours. I'm not a doctor, so my disclaimer is this is not medical advice in any way. If you know, you should always consult a physician before doing anything like this. This is just something from my personal experience, and if it works for you and you like to try it, that's great, and if not, that's great too. Anyway, so this is my elderberry syrup, and it will come to good use. Winter, it's starting to finally cool down for fall, and I have no doubt that this will be used and be used completely this winter, and probably more than this. So thank you all for stopping by and watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.